So you guys probably know this by now, but Illumination announced a few months ago that they are working on another movie based on the world of Super Mario Bros. And since the Super Mario Bros. Movie is at 1% on the tomato meter, 1% on the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and since the movie made a total of $1, it's highly likely that the movie will be a sequel to the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And because of that, I have made a story prediction on what the Super Mario Bros. Movie sequel could hold. Now, before I get on to the prediction, I just want to say that this is purely what I think could happen. Okay? If it doesn't fit with what you think could happen, that's fine. It's just that I have a different opinion than your own. And everyone is allowed to have their own opinion. And keep in mind that this is only just the story. This isn't what the movie will look like on screen. I'm not going to talk about who will be voicing which character, except I will say this: do not cast Jack Black in the movie, please. And of course, I will not be talking about who could be directing or writing, or stuff like that. No. This is basically just the story itself. Okay? Just the story and nothing else. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So, starting off, the movie opens up with a boy carrying a young girl while running away from several armed guards. The boy eventually loses the guards when he turns around and hides in a nearby alleyway. The boy puts the girl down and says that it's no longer safe for them to travel together and that from there on, they're both on their own. But that one day, they will meet again, calling the girl sister. The boy leaves, leaving the girl on her own. The girl wanders around until she finds a giant green pipe that doesn't seem to be connected to anything. She then hears nearby voices, so without hesitation goes through the pipe. So, right away you may have noticed on why this is such a random opening. Well, I'll get to that in a second. When she arrives on the other side, she is greeted by a bunch of mushroom-headed travelers who take her in for a while to figure out what to do with her. One of the travelers, who actually turns out to be Toad, the person that immediately befriended Mario in the first movie, says that maybe they should take her to the Mushroom King since he might know what to do. But another one of the travelers says that's a terrible idea, seeing as the being could be planning an invasion and it could be a trick. Toad then asks him what he should do, and the traveler says that they should go back through the pipe and return the creature to where it came. Toad then says that it's a terrible idea, saying that they don't know what's on the other side. The traveler then says that he'll go check it out and come back and say if it's safe or not. He leaves, and then 3 hours pass, and he still hasn't come back. Toad says that they should start moving on and go speak to the Mushroom King. Then yet another one of the travelers asks on what they should call the girl, and Toad replies by saying, "What about Toadstool?" Or "How about Toadstool?" And then the title of the movie should play. So, right away, I feel like this type of opening would focus more on where Toadstool specifically came from. Kind of because in the first movie, Toadstool just says that she doesn't know where she came from. She only remembers arriving in the Mushroom Kingdom. And I feel like this movie should focus more on the origins of Princess Toadstool and where she came from and how she got there in the first place. And I feel like that type of opening would set up an emotional conflict for Toadstool, and the people watching the movie could understand on where she came from and why she doesn't remember anything, not even about herself. Because maybe along the gateway transfer, her memories are completely wiped and she doesn't remember anything. That could be a possible reason, but I feel like that type of opening would work. Oh yeah, and remember the boy that I pointed out at the opening? Yeah, you might want to remember him. He's kind of important. So now we flash forward to Brooklyn after Mario Brothers saved the people from Bowser and the Koopa and his Koopa Empire. Mario's father, Mario Sr., then says for them to come back to the apartment to celebrate the success they made, but then Mario reaches his breaking point and snaps at his father's words and openly criticizes the people of Brooklyn for not caring about what they've done their whole life. And now that they've done this, they're finally respected. And I feel like, and the reason why I say that that this should happen is because, well, after the Mario Brothers save Brooklyn, they're just kind of respected for no apparent reason. Because remember, the whole thing was caused. The reason why part of Brooklyn was destroyed was because the Mario Brothers went through that gateway. And then when they reemerge, a ship also came out with them, along with, several others. So I feel like, and then they just kind of have the Mario Brothers living in the Mushroom Kingdom now for no apparent reason. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. Mario angrily leaves with Luigi in tow, along with Toad, Princess Toadstool, and Prince Donkey Kong. Mario's mother, Mia, tries to convince the brothers to stay, but they don't listen. When they arrive back in the Mushroom Kingdom, a couple of the Jungle Kingdom guards are there and greet the Prince Donkey Kong for returning safely. But then they notice something is off. They see that King Cranky Kong isn't there with them. So they ask Donkey Kong on where his father is. Donkey Kong then just stands there thinking for a while and then has a moment of realization and then leaves angrily with the guards, saying to Toadstool that their work is done without getting a word in about why he's mad at all. And again, this is another really important detail, so keep that in mind as you keep watching this video. Meanwhile, in a part of the Brooklyn sewers, a mysterious egg starts to crack open. And, if you've seen the original movie, like if you've seen it through the whole way, you might have remembered, spoilers for the Super Mario Brothers movie, you may have noticed that in the there is a post-credit scene in the Super Mario Brothers movie where it shows an egg hatch, and then immediately after that we hear a faint noise emerging from the egg. So, and again, another important detail, so make sure to remember that. 3 weeks, so then 3 weeks pass, and the reason why I would say 3 weeks would pass is because, well, I feel like because the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie had it to where 3 weeks pass, and then the brothers are respected in Brooklyn, right? So I feel like having it pass for 3 weeks later could be a nice nod to Super Mario Brothers. So anyways, 3 weeks pass, and then all of a sudden Mario has a strange dream about a long stairway leading up to a door, and then on the other side stood a masked man with glowing red eyes. Mario wakes from his nightmare when his alarm clock goes off. So then the Mario Brothers get up and then exit the house with all their tools. Now they live in the Mushroom Kingdom and go to their next plumbing job at Toad's house. So when they arrive, Toad looks frantically worried, and Toad immediately urges the brothers to come inside. As it turns out, Toad's roommate had fallen into a deep sleep, and now he won't wake up. Not only that, when the Mario brothers step out of the house, they see that all over the town, citizens are panicking from deep sleeping citizens. Mario says that this is terrible and that they've got to do something about this. So the trio consisting of the Mario brothers and Toad head off to Mushroom Castle to seek aid from Princess Toadstool. At Mushroom Castle, a council meeting is held between Princess Toadstool of the Mushroom Kingdom and the newly crowned King Donkey Kong of the Jungle Kingdom. As it turns out, the former King Cranky Kong had passed away due to the Mario Brothers' actions of destroying Bowser's continent ship while he was still in there, along with several others that were also inside. And because of this, Donkey Kong quickly became the next king. And yeah, you see, I told you that detail would be important. So the reason why I would handle it this way, or the reason why I would think this could happen, well, remember how after Donkey Kong freed his father from the prison, and then the gateway pipe that Mario came through, it started sucking everyone up, after Donkey Kong frees his father, we never really see Cranky Kong again after that moment. And I feel like, if anything, they kill the entirety of everyone that was inside of Bowser's continent ship, because they blow up Bowser's ship and then everything is fine, except that they killed everyone that was inside of the ship. Because remember, after Donkey Kong freed Cranky Kong, we don't see him again, so we can only assume that Cranky Kong was still inside of Bowser's ship when it exploded. Okay, anyway, they discuss about the sudden deep sleep pandemic happening across the Mushroom Kingdom, saying that the Mushroom people won't wake up, no matter what they do. Donkey Kong adds in that it's not just the Mushroom Kingdom that has this problem. Several citizens of the Jungle Kingdom also suffer from the same conditions, including members of the Kong army. Both sides are at a loss what to do until one of the mushroom retainers asks, "What if we ask the Mario Brothers? Since they helped us beat Bowser, maybe they could help us figure out this problem." Unfortunately, the jungle side of the council says that they refuse to work with cold-blooded murderers and that they're wanted criminals in their land. And then that's when Toad arrives in with the brothers, saying that they need help, but then Donkey Kong angrily orders his guards to arrest them. However, Toadstool steps in to defend them, but Donkey Kong tells her to get out of the way, but Toadstool says that court fighting won't solve anything. On top of that, the Kongs are in mushroom territory, so Donkey Kong doesn't have authority over the kingdom. So then she suggests a fight in the Mushroom Kingdom backside. And another person says that that's a good idea, and that if she wins, the Jungle Kingdom has to drop the charges against the Mario Brothers and work with them on this case. However, if Donkey Kong wins, he can arrest the Mario Brothers and stop working with the Mushroom Kingdom entirely and never work with them again. Donkey Kong thinks for a minute, and he ends up agreeing begrudgingly. While all that is happening, the masked man from Mario's dream delivers a report to a large green-caped creature, saying that the plan is working, and that soon the entire universe will be under their control. The creature responds by saying with the dream machine in their possession, there's nothing they can't do. He then turns around, revealing his face while giving off a menacing smile. So right away, so right away you may have noticed that there are several plot points within this movie. Specifically, the sleep pandemic, Donkey Kong's the Jungle Kingdom's hatred toward the Mario Brothers, and then a mysterious new threat coming from somewhere else. And then so the creature I talked about is none other than the villain from Super Mario Bros. 2, which is Wart. Now, the reason why so a lot of you are probably thinking, why specifically Wart instead of making Bowser come back or bring an entirely different villain from the series? Well, I feel like if anything, the story should go as the release date of each games here in America. Now I realize that Super Mario Bros. 2 has two entirely different games in both regions. The Super Mario Bros. 2 that's in Japan is basically just a sequel to Super Mario Bros. With Bowser's return and all that. While here in America, we get an entirely different villain and an entirely new gameplay style. And since a lot of movie making companies are in America, I feel like if anything, they would go in the direction of the games that were released in the United States of America. So that's why I say that Wart should be the villain for this. Okay, cutting back to the Royals, everyone is now on a moving platform going to the back of Mushroom Castle. The platform suddenly stops in front of a circular-shaped fighting arena as Princess Toadstool and King Donkey Kong, both get in, preparing to start the fight. The Mario Brothers, Toad, the Mushroom Retainers, and the Jungle Retainers are also all there as spectators. Toad then steps up, since the people of the council said that he should be the announcer, and says that to make the fight more fair, 4 different power-ups have been placed throughout the arena. The match will continue until one side yields or dies. So essentially, the reason I have it this way, it should be a fight until someone gives up or dies, is that since both kingdoms are at war with each other, that this would be appropriate. So anyways, Toad then starts the fight, and then the Royals clash, with both taking massive hits over and over, but neither one of them is giving in. So then eventually, Toadstool decides to use a power-up from a power-up box, or a power-up block, whatever you want to call it. The power-up she got is the cat box. The movie exclusive power-up from the first Super Mario Brothers movie, and then transforms into Cat Princess Toadstool. But then Donkey Kong has flashbacks about his fight with Mario and about the cat box, so he runs off and gets a fire flower from another one of the power-up blocks and becomes Fiery Donkey Kong, just like in the first Super Mario Brothers movie, to defend himself from Toadstool. So the reason why I chose the cat box and fire flower specifically is I feel like it would be a good callback to the first movie. On top of that, a lot of people were upset that Mario never used the fire flower at all, and a lot of other people complained that they wanted to see more fiery Donkey Kong. So then I thought, how am I going to do this? what should I do here? Because so then I decided eventually I decided just go with Fiery Donkey Kong. And so that's what I did here. Throughout this, the crowd is watching and cheering for their respecting side to win. But the Mario Brothers are extremely anxious about the whole thing because no matter which side wins, they're screwed. Because remember, if the Jungle Kingdom wins, they go to prison. However, if the Mushroom side wins, they're forced to work with Toadstool. So Donkey Kong is trying to pelt Toadstool with fireballs while Toadstool is nimbly dodging them all. However, when Toadstool jumps up and starts to dive in on him, Donkey Kong gets a lucky hit with a fireball, causing Toadstool to lose her power-up, which makes her crash into Donkey Kong, causing him to lose his power-up too. Toadstool then rushes to another power-up block and gets a movie exclusive power-up, just exclusive to this movie only, called the Spark Flower, and then turns into Spark Princess Toadstool. But then as soon as Donkey Kong nears the final power-up block, he suddenly passes out, causing Toad to shout and stop the fight. Everyone wonders what happened to Donkey Kong, but then all of a sudden, Princess Toadstool also passes out as well, causing her to lose her power-up, and also causing everyone to become even more anxious. Everyone decides to gather at Mushroom Council to discuss about the incident that just occurred. So then we cut to Brooklyn. The mayor of the city, Rob, sets a bounty for the arrest of the Mario Brothers for destroying half the city and for resisting arrest. So remember how the Mario Brothers basically destroyed part of Brooklyn without any consequences happening? Well, I found that a bit weird, considering that they just blew up half the city and then they just got away with that without any consequences. Like, I kind of found that to be strange. Like, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks this. It was really strange that they just got away with it without anything consequential happening to them. Like, they do that and then just they're fine. Everything is forgiven because they beat Bowser. So with this added context, it would give a clear notion as to why Mario Brothers should stay in the Mushroom Kingdom is because Brooklyn no longer wants them there. Moving on. Then a bounty hunter named William notices the bounty placed on the Mario Brothers and sets off to find them. So, another threat coming into the picture, because now we have two different threats, one being Wart and the other being a Brooklyn bounty hunter, William. And the reason why I went with William is because, well, it kind of is because I needed a name for a tough person who is willing to do anything no matter what. So then I sat for hours thinking on what would be a good name for this character. So then all of a sudden I remembered William Afton, a movie exclusive from Five Nights at Freddy's, another video game movie, and I thought that would be the perfect name for this character. So that's why I named him that, just for anyone wondering. So then we cut to Mushroom Castle, where everyone discusses what could have happened to the royals. One suggests that they could have collapsed from exhaustion, but their physical structure shouldn't have given up that easily. Another suggests that they could have been poisoned, but that wasn't possible since no traces of poison were found on them. Another one says that it's not the cause of a power-up after effect. So it seems like they're figuring out what wasn't more than it was, which was also getting them somewhere, but at the same time, it's also getting them nowhere. That's when one of the mushroom retainers speaks up and says that they could be facing a threat unlike anything they've seen. Something that their ancestors predicted before Toadstool ever arrived in the Mushroom Kingdom. That's when he presents a scroll, which says one day a villain will arise from another world and bring this world to eternal destruction. But four heroes, 3 guys, and a girl will destroy the beast and save the universe. After reading this, the council then tries to deduce who the 4 heroes are. They say 2 of them have to be the Mario brothers since they recently took down the king of the Koopa, Bowser. And so then with that, now they have to figure out who the other half of the heroes are. So then they come to the devastating conclusion that the other 2 were the royals, but they're not in a state on where they can fight. Toad speaks up and says that he'll replace one of the royals and become one of the 4 heroes. But if Toad replaces Donkey Kong, who will replace Princess Toadstool? That's when one of the guards arrives and reports that Toadstool is starting to fade away. Everyone is shocked to hear this news and rush over to where the royals are being kept, and sure enough, when they arrive, they see the princess rapidly fading out, and just in a few seconds, she disappears from existence. And a lot of you are wondering, why did I do this? Well, this is yet another plot point which is going to be explained later, so again, keep that in mind. Now that this has happened, the heroes have got to leave and find this new threat, but they don't know where they can find this other world. So Mario decides that they'll journey across every continent and find this third world, no matter what it takes. But meanwhile with William, he discovers footprints in the depths of the Brooklyn sewers leading to the gateway pipe that the Mario brothers first discovered when they were there. So William doesn't hesitate and enters the gateway pipe to find the brothers. Alright, so now that we have so I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of questions right now, such as why did Toadstool disappear from existence? What would this third world be? And why is William hunting for the Mario brothers in the first place? Why is he specifically doing this? Well, again, I'll get to that. So for now, you got to keep listening. So the trio of heroes exit Mushroom Castle and begin to venture off to find the third world. Along the way, they encounter many obstacles and have no luck finding the place, but they keep going on and on and on and on and on with no luck. Eventually, they stop at a mountain cliffside where they take a moment to rest with only a few trees growing there. They use an opportunity to rest since they've been searching all day and set up a campsite. Luigi asks Mario if they think it's time to head back, since they've been looking non-stop and there's no way that they'll find the world on their own. Mario replies by saying that maybe he's right. There's no way that the 3 of them can take on a threat this bad. Then Toad chimes in on the conversation by saying that's not true, that they took out Bowser, only because they had the power of an artifact. Luigi says this, hoping that Toad will shut up about their past life. Toad says that the Mushroom Kingdom is their home now, but Mario says that they're only staying there because Earth hates them. The trio continue to argue back and forth until Toad noticed something. He noticed one of the masked Koopa Troopas from the Koopa Empire enter a cave nearby them. That shouldn't even be possible since the Koopas are now extinct. So remember, The Mario Brothers killed the entirety of the Koopa Empire in the first movie, and because they killed all of the Koopas, now the Koopas are now extinct. So you may be asking, why is a masked Koopa Troopa going into a cave? Like, why is there still a masked Koopa Troopa alive? Well, again, you're gonna have to keep watching. So Toad alerts the brothers about this, causing them to stop arguing. The trio enter the cave where the masked Koopa Troopa entered, and what they see before them is a long staircase going up and up and up, like what Mario saw in his dream. And he recognizes the place, but he doesn't say anything because he thinks the others will think he's crazy if he does say that he dreamed about it. So they start going up the stairs until they reach a door. Soon after they reach the door, they get sucked into it and hear a strange voice calling to them, saying that they are finally here and that past the gateway door lies Subcon, the land of dreams. Wart, the last of his kind from the Mushroom Kingdom, is using the dream machine to transform everything into a nightmare. Even most of the citizens are under control due to some masks that they're wearing, and since they're all from other worlds, and because of a strange spell that's been casted on them, they are protected, and that the masks won't affect them. And the voice also tells them that Wart happens to hate vegetables, so to use that from their advantage. But then soon they hear the voice, the screaming help, and then after that, hearing that scream, the trio immediately sees a vision of a pink creature being chased by all these flying things. Then, not long after, they reach the other side of the they all emerge and fall down a hill and tumble down until they hit the bottom. Once they get back up, the trio of heroes are in awe as they look around the mysterious new world before them. But when Mario starts to go to a nearby strand of grass in the ground, Toad shouts at Mario not to touch it as it could be dangerous. And I feel like that would be another neat callback to the first movie where when Mario meets Toad, Toad shouted at Mario to not touch the mushroom he was going near because it could kill him. So, another neat callback. And since Sonic the Hedgehog has kind of done that already, where Sonic says meow, and then he did it again in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So, I feel like that would be another neat callback. So then after that, a bunch of masked Koopa Troopas and some birds wearing masks suddenly attack them. Mario's first instinct is to pull the grass out, and he doesn't care how dangerous it is. They're in the middle of a crisis. So Mario pulls it out, and it's actually just a vegetable, so he throws it at the baddies, causing some of their masks to break due to the force of the vegetable being thrown. Luigi and Toad see more grass and decide to pull it out, unveiling a turtle shell and an unripened vegetable. Then Toad thinks for a moment and gets a thought. The grass contains this world's power-ups. So they continue pulling more stuff from the grass and successfully defeat the threat. After that, the monsters turn into these winged beings they saw in their vision, chasing that pink creature. Mario starts threatening them, demanding to know where Wart is, but the winged beings have no idea where he is. Mario then asks why they were chasing some pink-colored creature. The winged beings are confused since they have no idea what he's talking about. Then they start to understand what happened. As it turns out, they were the ones to send the message, but then Ostro, one of Wart's commanders, took over the message delivering process and sent a fake visions to the travelers, trying to fool them by making them think these things were the enemies. So then the citizens introduced themselves as the citizens of Subcon. However, in the world of Subcon, the citizens of don't have names for species or individuals. So they asked just to refer to them as Subcon. And the reason, okay, so a lot of you are thinking why I went this direction, and it's because in the credits or ending in the ending cast for Super Mario Brothers 2, they revealed the cast of characters that were in the game, and one of them were the flying things, which were just labeled as Subcon. And I didn't really have a lot to work with that, considering that the citizens of Subcon were not in the instruction manual for Super Mario Bros. 2. So I didn't really have a lot to work with. So I feel like, if anything, that would be the best logical explanation as to why Subcon citizens were just referred to as Subcon in the credits or ending cast for Super Mario Bros. 2. I know it's a pretty stupid reason, but it was the best that I could come up with. So then the Subcon citizen suggests to continue heading east, as Wart's base is located somewhere in that direction. And thus, the quest to find Toadstool and destroy Wart has officially begun. Cut back to William. He has arrived in Mushroom Town, hoping to find the Mario Brothers. Then he eats a piece of bread that he had been saving for a while giving off a menacing stare. A citizen greets him, but then William grabs him and demands to know where the brothers are. He says that they're trying to find the third world, but he doesn't know where the third world is located, and that they could be anywhere. William assures that he'll find them, and that he always finds his targets. He then starts to stomp on his way looking for them. And then cut back to the trio of heroes. Along their journey, they decide to take a break after walking for so long. The brothers discuss about leaving Brooklyn, if it was really a good idea just leaving their family like that. After all, Mio was the only one who truly cared about them, while the rest of their family treated them like shit. Toad chimes in by saying that if they ever want to go back to Brooklyn, they can always leave and go back, and he could tell everyone the news. The brothers start thinking that maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to go back. Maybe their family could forgive them for what they said. The camera starts to slowly zoom out from the heroes, and then we cut to Wart and the Masked Man as they now have Princess Toadstool hovering above them, with the transfer process finally finishing up. Turns out this was the reason behind her disappearance. See, I told you that would be important. Wart then tells her that she really is an extraordinary creature, and now all that he needs is every ounce of her power. And with that, Wart starts to drain Princess Toadstool's power with the Dream Machine, as he then tells the Masked Man to find the rest of the heroes and finish them off. Then, once Toadstool's power is finally drained, Wart then receives the power that the machine drained, laughing while saying that he has now achieved ultimate power. Finally, William has found himself in Subcon as he bursts through the gateway door and starts running throughout the land to find them, while screaming that he's here, and now it's time for them to face the consequences of their actions. So a lot of you are probably wondering, what's the power that Toadstool held? Well, if you guys know the original story of Super Mario Brothers, Princess Toadstool has the power to break the turtle tribe's Okay, if you guys remember the original context of Super Mario Brothers, you would know that Princess Toadstool has the power to break the Turtle Tribe's black magic. and I feel like, and this power was never specifically explained. Like it's never gone into depth. So I feel like if anything, that would be it would make sense that someone would know about her power, and it would explain, and this would actually give a more legitimate reason for why Bowser wanted to marry the princess, because in the Super Mario Brothers movie, Bowser just does it for no apparent reason. Like Bowser wanting to marry the princess was kind of stupid actually. And later on, he even goes to extreme measures by role playing with the Koopa tactician, and then just, oh my gosh. So then with this newly added context, it would give a reason as to why Bowser wanted to marry Princess Toad. Alright, so now we cut back to the trio of heroes as they are still going after Wart, defeating monsters and freeing the Subcon citizens along the way as Wart and Princess Toadstool watch the whole thing in Wart's Sky Castle. And seeing as what's happening, Toadstool can't just sit around and watch anymore. So, using the last of her strength, she manages to break free and escape Wart's castle, but now she realizes that she's in the sky once she jumps from the entrance, and starts falling until she hits a mountain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. Throughout all this, she persists and keeps moving on. With the heroes, they are still traveling, walking across a bridge, until suddenly William comes up behind them and says that the brothers are coming with him. Mario asks who he is as William introduces himself, saying that Mayor Rob has a bounty set on them for destroying half the city of Brooklyn. See, I told you guys this would be important later on. On top of that, because the Mario brothers, his entire reputation is now ruined thanks to them. Everyone is confused about what he's saying since the brothers never did anything to him. That's when William counters their statement. After Mario quit his job as part of the wrecking crew to pursue his stupid dream, William was forced to work twice as hard because they were one person short. Then when the Mario brothers ran through one of their construction sites, they shoved him into a ditch. So remember how throughout the whole running scene the running throughout Brooklyn, when the Mario brothers are trying to get to their first plumbing job, and that Luigi pushed him down into a dug up ditch. Yeah, I feel like exploiting this detail would give more of a legitimate reason for why William is doing this. And on top of that, it would also be another callback, saying that because of this was one of the reasons of why this is happening. So then everyone is shocked to hear what happened, with Toad asking why they did that to him. The brothers reply saying they didn't. They had no idea what he's talking about. Then William banters on. After the brothers suddenly disappeared, the city was finally glad to be rid of them, until a ship the size of a continent came crashing out of nowhere straight into William's house. And to make things worse, they blew up half the city, and no one cared because the brothers had took down the stupid giant reptile. William starts to angrily step toward the brothers for what they've done, but then the masked man comes in and says that his master wants them dead. Then on top of that, a group consisting of Shy Guys, Tweeters, Snifits, and Bezos come and back up the masked man. I hope I am pronouncing all of those enemy names right. If I'm saying them wrong, then don't don't bitch about it. Just, I'll know for next time. Everything starts to become a full-on war as Wart's forces and Willie both want the Mario Brothers dead. The trio of heroes, consisting of the Mario Brothers and Toad, of course, on the other hand, counterattack by pulling up grass and throwing the power-ups it held underneath and throwing it at the masked Subcon citizens. Eventually, Toad pulls up a magic potion and doesn't know what to do with it. Then Luigi sees William charging at them, and Toad panics and throws the magic potion in front of William, which creates a door which William crashes through and ends up in subspace, which is a mirrored reality of Subcon. And of course, this would be a good reference to the game, since subspace is basically just Subcon, but in reverse. So, Anyways, William tries to get back, but in an instant, the door closes and disappears from existence, which means now William is stuck in subspace forever, never to return. Or will he? So now all that's left is the masked man. Then one of Wart's commanders, Ostro, shows up with reinforcements consisting of Trouters and Cobrats, which are Mario and Toad's biggest nightmare, since they often appear in their dreams. And this fight is taking place on a bridge, mind you, so Trouters and Cobrats would make sense to be there. So. And the reason why I say that the reason why I would have them appear is because according to the instruction manual, Trouters often get in the way of Mario, and the Cobrats often appear in the dreams of Toad. And there was nothing, and I couldn't find anything that said that would appear in the dreams of Luigi. So yeah, I just had to stick with that. So then Luigi then tries to step in and protect them and throws a bomb which explodes and destroys the nightmares. Then Mario pulls up a turtle shell and then kills off Ostro once and for all. The masked man gets triggered and then charges at the heroes, but then in an instant a vegetable comes out of nowhere and cracks his mask. As it turns out, Princess Toadstool is the one who threw the vegetable, who then slowly starts to walk over to the masked man who has fallen down. Then Toadstool kicks the mask clean off his face, revealing his face to Toadstool. Toadstool looks at his face and realizes he looks similar to her. The man gets up and asks what's happening, only for Toadstool to ask who he is. The masked man introduces himself, saying his name is Jason Fairhand, and that he's on a journey looking for his younger long-lost sister. Mario asks him when he last saw her, with Jason replying that he last saw her when they went their separate ways to in his world, but then he found a giant green pipe after he heard a strange noise. Then the people who were chasing him found him, so then he had to come back to the pipe another time. Several years had passed, and he soon remembered the green pipe and his sister. Since it was no longer safe for him to stay in his world, he went through it, and on the other side was a whole new world filled with giant mushrooms. Toadstool then gasps, thinking the unthinkable possibility. Jason goes on and says that he destroyed the pipe that he came through so no one could follow him. Then he started to travel the entire world looking for his sister to no avail, eventually even going through new gateway pipes that he found, some leading to danger and others to ruined worlds. Until one day he came across a strange door that was on top of a long staircase. He went through the door, and the next thing he knows is just that exact moment. Toadstool then comes to the conclusion she thought about. Could the events of Jason's story seem to align with Toadstool's? And that Jason could be the and could it be that Jason was looking for Princess Toadstool? Jason looks at Toadstool for a moment and remembers the details about his sister when she was younger. Then everyone realizes Princess Toadstool is Jason's younger long-lost sister. Aha! See? Remember the boy I told you about from the beginning? I told you he'd be important later on. Now that so cut to War. He has now seen that everything has happened to his forces, and he's finally had it up to here, and uses the Dream Machine to create Birdoos and Autobombs, which are things that Shy Guys ride on in the games, so, to finish off the band of heroes once and for all. On top of that, he no longer needs Toadstool since he now has her powers, so he orders his minions to finish her off as well. Cut back to the heroes. Jason is finally proud to see his own sister and then calls her Amy. Everyone is sorely confused and Toadstool tries to correct him, saying that her name isn't Amy, it's Toadstool. Jason then explains that Amy was the name she had back in their world, and now Toadstool knows this fact and asks Jason who their parents were. Jason replies by saying that their parents died once she was brought into their world, and now the only family they have left is each other. Toadstool is shocked to hear this. She was really hoping that she'd have more family than this. Mario then says that now isn't the time for this, and that they must get moving, and that Wart's Fortress is only a few more miles away. Yeah, so right away, you may have noticed why couldn't her name just be Toadstool in both worlds? Why couldn't well, here's the thing. Toadstool isn't a name you would normally give a person, right? Like here on Earth. So I came up with another name. So I thought up of another name, which was Amy, which kind of works for Princess Toadstool. And you may be wondering why I named Toadstool's brother Jason Fairhand. Well, I thought really hard about what his name could be because that was one of the hardest parts, coming up for names for both Toadstool's brother and Toadstool herself. And so eventually I eventually just got a suggestion from suggestions from a few different people that are in my neighborhood, and they gave me several ideas as to what I could name them. So then eventually I put the names in a bowl and then shuffled the names that were in the bowl and then pulled them out, and then that's how I got them. So, and the names kind of do fit in, right? So, it works out. So now so moving on. The Birdoos and Autobombs that Wart sent arrive along with a wagon being pulled by the Birdoos. And inside the wagon was Mauser, another one of Wart's commanders, piloting the wagon. So you may be noticing that I've made the boss characters of Super Mario Bros. 2, the first one being Ostro, and now Mauser. Mauser. I hope I'm saying that right. I mean them, the commanders. So, yeah, I feel like making them the commanders is kind of I wanted to include all of the commanders that were in or all the bosses that were in Super Mario Bros. 2 and not just one. So I thought for a moment, and how would I make this work? And so I thought Bowser had a general and a tactician in his army, so I could make them commanders. So yeah, I thought that, and it seems it actually works if you think about it. So the heroes start running toward Wart's fortress while Mauser and his forces give chase. Jason then jumps in the wagon with Mauser shocked, and the two fight inside until Mauser pulls out a few bombs about to explode in the wagon with them in it. Until Jason kicks him out and the bombs explode, killing Mauser and his forces that were behind the wagon. The heroes get in the wagon and enter a cave. Jason then decides to talk with his sister, and asks Toad if he can take control of the Burdoos. Toad agrees, and then Jason walks up to Toadstool and tells her that they might have a chance. During his adventure, he found a gateway pipe covered with sand and went through it. On the other side was a world that had several kingdoms like the world Toad is from. He's thinking that they can live there and start their lives over if they had the right tools. The Mario Brothers overhear what Jason is talking about and say that they want a new peaceful place to live since the Jungle Kingdom hates him, and after the experience with William, Brooklyn doesn't want them around either. Toadstool gets that Jason's life hadn't always been perfect, but maybe. And then that's when Toad says that they're nearing the end of the cave, and once they're out, Jason takes back control of the Burdoos. And once they got out of the cave, they see that Wart's fortress is in the sky on some clouds. Then Jason sees a ramp up ahead and figures that could be their way up. But at the speed that they're going at, they'll never make it. Then he sees some rockets in the wagon and gets an idea. He grabs the rockets and attaches it to the wagon and lights them up, causing the wagon to go extremely fast. The wagon shoots up the ramp and flies toward the island of clouds that Wart's fortress is on, until the rockets detach from the wagon, causing the wagon to stop moving so fast. Fortunately, the wagon just barely makes it on the island of clouds. Wart sees that the heroes have arrived and decides to counter their reckless rampage by using the Dream Machine to make albatrosses who are capable of dropping bob-obs, bombs with limbs who have a serious temper on their targets, dozens of bezos, and wagons with Shy Guys, Tweeters, and Snifits inside also being pulled by Burdoos. Also in one of the wagons is Fry Guy, yet another one of Wart's commanders. The heroes are now slowly reaching the fortress until a ninja lands on Jason's face. And Jason rips it off and decides to tell everyone a fact about them, and that the ninjas who are small devils, only appear in the dreams of old console gamers. And I feel like this would be a great reference to the instruction manual for Super Mario Bros. 2, because according to that manual, the ninjas only appear in the dreams of Nintendo Entertainment System players. So another Easter egg I think would be included in, or shouldn't be included in. Then Luigi notices a horde of baddies heading straight their way. Everyone prepares for combat, and a fight occurs when everyone is giving all they got. The Bob-Obs have been exploding and destroying parts of the hero's wagon and blowing up the enemy wagons and freeing more Subcon citizens. One of the Subcon citizens flies over and tells the heroes to watch out for Fry Guy. He's completely made of fire and nothing is able to harm him except for anything that's cool or cold. Or, anything with freezing temperatures. Then Mario notices one of the Snifits is cyan instead of red, gray, or pink, and is spitting out water instead of bullets. Fry Guy then flies out of the wagon, which destroys the roof of the enemy commander wagon, which gives Mario a fighting chance. Mario jumps to the other wagon and pulls up the cyan Snifit and makes it shoot water at Fry Guy, and thus Fry Guy inevitably meets his end. The wagon then crashes into the other enemy wagons, burying all the baddies underneath. The heroes cheer as they are now nearly at the fortress. Wart gets beyond enraged and now sends out Clawgrip, the last of Wart's commanders, to finish off the heroes once and for all. Wart then decides to send a group of Pidgits to accompany him as well. Clawgrip gets on the last wagon with a squad of enemies and heads off. Then Triclyde, Wart's right-hand minion, asks Wart why he's doing all this. And get ready to hear Wart's backstory. Because Wart has been going to extreme measures doing this and hates a group of people he's never met until now. Wart then goes and explains his backstory, finally revealing his motivation for doing all this. So remember the egg that hatched earlier on? Well, Wart is the one that came out of that egg. And, okay, a lot of you are probably... so some of you are probably getting angry at the fact that Wart was the one to hatch out of that spotted egg instead of certain other characters who I will not mention for obvious reasons. And, I said before that I want the story of the movies to go in the order of the games if they're going to expand the world of that specific video game movie. So anyways, Wart came out of the egg and starts walking around, unsure of what to do. Eventually, he found his way out of the sewers and starts looking around. Then when he got hungry, he searched for food and found a stand with lots of food on it. He then reached to get some food, but the stand owner threw a bunch of vegetables at Wart and chased him out of there, yelling that that food is only for humans. The same thing kept happening over and over and over again for hours, and after that, Wart only ever got a few scraps of food in. He decided to go and hide in the Brooklyn sewers for a while until things calmed down. Then he found a large green pipe and decided to go through it. But during the gateway transfer, a door opened and sucked Wart straight into it and landed him subcon. So even after all that, Wart was still unbelievably hungry. Then he noticed a giant fortress in front of him and went inside. There he found the Dream Machine, which could let him create anything he desires. From there, he swore to take over the entire universe and get everything he ever wanted. Triclyde couldn't bear the thought of him going through something like that. However, Triclyde understood where Wart was coming from and decided that he has his full support no matter what. Wart tells Triclyde that their quest is nearly complete. They just need to get rid of the heroes since they're the only ones that can ruin their plans. So, yeah, doesn't that sound like a better motivation than just having a character just go full simp mode for a character they've never even met? Right? Doesn't that sound like a better motivation? And then you may have noticed that Triclyde's story is similar to the original story was in Super Mario Bros. 2, since Triclyde was an outcast until eventually he was found by Wart, and he was impressed by and Wart was impressed by how smart Triclyde was. And the reason why I made Triclyde the last commander, or I made Triclyde Wart's right-hand man, is because in World 6 of Super Mario Bros. 2, you fight Triclyde, so that's the reason why. So anyways, back with the heroes. They are in the middle of a fight with Clawgrip, with the latter throwing big rocks at the hero's wagon. Toad then counters one of the rocks and knocks it back at the enemy wagon, causing it to break apart and ending Clawgrip's life. The heroes now cheer as they now have entered Wart's stronghold. From there, they get off the wagon as it's too dangerous to continue by vehicle. Triclyde then appears in front of the heroes, saying that they won't let them pass. And then another fight occurs, but it doesn't take too long as the heroes see multiple patches of grass in the ground and then pelt Triclyde with power-ups it held, ultimately Triclyde dying. The heroes then carry on, and at last, they make it to Wart's room. Wart tells the heroes that they may have beaten they may have beaten his commanders, but they have no chance of beating him with the power of Toadstool and the Dream Machine. Toad tells everyone that he isn't joking around, and that Wart's species have the ability to roar sonic waves and spit out acid bubbles. Okay, so a lot of you are noticing why I'm not saying the name of what Wart's species is, but I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this online, considering I looked up the word that I made up, and it's not that word, mind you. No. It's something I made up entirely, and I don't know if it's anyways, so hence the reason why they're extinct, or so they thought. Now the fight against Wart begins. Wart spits out acid bubbles, causing the heroes to dodge them and think of a strategy. Louis recalls something in the message that they got from the gateway transfer, claiming that vegetables are Wart's weakness. So they plan to use the Dream Machine to pelt Wart with vegetables to kill him. Toad volunteers to do it, but he says that the others will need to distract Wart to buy him time. So the other heroes distract him by getting his attention while Toad messes with the Dream Machine. The heroes try to attack Wart in the process, but Wart counters the attack by roaring sonic waves like Toad mentioned earlier. Eventually, Wart notices that Toad is missing, but at that moment, it's too late. Toad activates the machine to fire vegetables in Wart's mouth, but the amount that is being stuffed in Wart is too much, causing him to explode and disappear from existence. Now that Wart is gone, the remaining mass monsters' masks break and free the remaining Subcon citizens. On top of that, the ones that were in the fortress are freed as well. So now Jason is relieved that the fight is over, and tells Toadstool that now they can go and live in the Desert Kingdom dimension. Toadstool asks Jason what he means by that, and Jason replies saying that this is what they wanted, to destroy Wart so they could use the Dream Machine to build their new lives. Toadstool says that was never what she wanted. She was brought to Subcon out of nowhere and wanted to defeat Wart so she could go back to her kingdom. Jason now understands everything about her sister, and uses the Dream Machine to create a portal to the Desert Kingdom dimension. Toadstool tells Jason to stop, that he needs to trust in what she's saying. Jason's final words are, "Trust? You've lost my own trust when you decided to do this to me. Amy, you're no longer the person I once knew." Once Jason goes through, the portal closes, with everyone having a distraught look on their faces. And I would end the movie on to be continued scale. Considering that if they're going to be doing a trilogy, that would be the best way to end it on a to be continued scale. So then for the mid-credit scene, we could cut to the guards still watching Donkey Kong, thinking that he'll wake up any second now, hinting that the problem from the beginning hasn't been resolved yet or fixed. And then finally in the end credits scene, we see Jason has made it to the other side, saying what a fool his sister was, and creates a ship powered by the Dream Machine and an iron suit covering his entire body, becoming the villain from Super Mario Land known as Tatanga. And that's it for my story prediction. So throughout the writing process, I kept getting stuck in between writing certain parts, such as what Wart's motivation could be to it, trying to connect it to the story of the games, and of course, trying to figure out how to end the movie as a whole. But yeah, but anyways, I feel like the end product came out very well. But I want to know, what did you guys think of this? What did you think of my story prediction? And if there are some things and how what do you think could happen in the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel, if it will be a sequel? On top of that, if you guys didn't like the entire story that I wrote, then what are some things that you would have changed about it? So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this. So yeah, if you liked this story prediction, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you're new and don't want to miss out on any future videos regarding the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel. Or if you want to see more video movie story predictions as well, and of course, share this video and this channel with others and spread the word. You know, all of that. So, anyways, with that being said, this is Thomas575, and I will see you all next time. I will see you all next time. If you guys yeah, all next time, assuming what video you guys will assuming what video will come out next after this one. So yeah, that's kind of it. So bye.